Indeed, another great Wednesday on the Morning Machine, the machine that makes your mornings move. Thank you so much for making the machine a part of your daily morning routine. And part of that morning routine means new things, new segments that will take you into the next direction of being better at being better. Why do I say that? Because this segment is called Wealthy Wednesday. What does Wealthy Wednesday mean? Wealthy Wednesday means that you get the best tips in finance so that we, as a people, especially everyone out there in Radio Land listening all over the world, can make strides and apply these concepts to be able to become financially literate. Not just for yourself, but for your families. Because it's also about the generational wealth as well. The train keeps on rolling. So, to start what I like to call the money train, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm not talking about Wesley Snipes and whatnot. I'm talking about the financial literacy train. We start at the main station and we're going to go on a journey from here. So you're going to get the best in financial tips that we have to offer. And this will be every Wednesday inside the Morning Machine at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So make sure that when you hear this first one, you continue to set yourself some reminders moving forward along this journey. And we're going to all do this together. So, to start off Wealthy Wednesday, I got the first member of our BMF squad. Yep, that's right. I said BMF, the Big Money Family Squad. And who is that? The first member is going to give you the tip today and throughout the next month, which is my guy. You've heard him here on the Morning Machine before about a month and a half ago, and he dropped some gems on everybody in Radio Land. And you've applied those concepts. Now, it's time to get more of the concepts, more of the gems from my guy, Marcus Knuckles, a.k.a. Biz Money Pro. Nobody beats the biz. Yes, exactly. My guy is here in the stew making it do what it do for the first of many Wealthy Wednesdays to come. How you doing, my guy? Good morning.
I'm good, Brother Rob. Once again, an amazing introduction. You get me hype as normal, as always. You know what I mean? I wish I had the boom box right now.
Yeah,
you know
on the
'Cause I
shoulder.
would be, goodness gracious. But yeah, man, it's good to be here on another Wealthy Wednesday, the inaugural. I'm super hype. I'm looking forward to just giving away some gems and some good information that people can use to kind of like help build and grow, their financial war chest and their aspirations and goals, etc.
And it's interesting that you said that because we're going to go ahead and get it all started right now. So, what is going to be the inaugural Wealthy Wednesday financial tip for this week?
Well, we're going to go to the basics, man. We're going to literally start, from ground zero. And we're just going to go to, just the basic fundamentals of finance and credit.
Okay, talk to him.
So here's the thing, right? I always tell people, the beautiful thing about credit is that it buys you time and opportunity. And for most families, and I don't care if you're an entrepreneur or not, business owner or not, time and opportunity is a valuable commodity, in life, just to live life. There's going to be a time where, hey, if you can get some more time or if you can get one or two more extra opportunities, it could be very valuable in a life-changing situation, for you and your family. So we're going to really, really just start there. And of course, the fundamentals of that is just number one, just understanding credit is that you have the line drawn in the sand when you talk about credit. And that line is, it's the personal side of credit, it's the business side of credit. And as we know, when I say credit, a lot of times, one of the first things that we always, kind of like associate with the word credit is a credit report. And I'm purposely kind of going there because when it comes to credit, credit is a measurable, once again, commodity, if you will, and how, the powers that be, how they measure this commodity or this activity is with a credit report. And once again, line drawn in the sand, personal, business. So on the personal side, we know, the basic fundamentals, the things like, utilization, inquiries, mix of credit, age of credit. These are kind of like the basic data points that, all together, they culminate, our, credit score. So, and of course, I'm sure everybody hears that, the goal is to try to be in the 700s, right? But just like everything, there are levels to it. There are levels to 700 credit scores. And I'm going to just kind of just talk, as in layman's terms as I possibly can, to give you guys some real examples on the fundamentals of finance and credit. And just, in my opinion, these are my opinion, this is my opinion of how we should be using, these tools to help us have a better situation or a better opportunity when it comes to finance and credit. So the first thing I'm going to just talk about is, once again, on the personal side, when we're talking about credit, let's say you are somebody that has that 700 credit score, right? And you got that 700 credit score. You may have just, you might be last year of college, or even if you didn't go to college, you're young, kind of in your 20s. You've been lucky enough to where, like, your first credit card you paid it on time. It was maybe like a $300, $400, $500 credit card. And then, post that, you may have gotten a job, and, with that halfway decent job, you were able to finance your first car. So maybe you're 2-3 years into your, car payment. And then let's just say you even, you had a student loan. And let's just say, you're still in school, so those student loans are deferred or whatever have you. So on that credit report, from having your personal credit card that you paid on time, having that car payment that's paid on time, and even those deferred student loans, because let's just say you haven't even started paying those loans back, but just with those few situations, and let's just say you were even lucky enough to have a parent who may have added you on as an authorized user. So with all of those components on that credit report is likely to be a credit report to where you're going to probably have a 700 plus type of score. And even let's just say average age, because like I said, we're talking about your 20s, so you might have, maybe like a 2-3, year old average age of credit report. So that's a pretty halfway decent, solid, situation. And now let's just say, hey, you just get a new job, and his job, is going to be a career job, to where it's like, okay, you know what? Now I'm thinking about buying a house. And now, because you got that good 700 credit score or whatever have you. Now, here's the thing. Remember what I said about this particular credit profile? They had a, let's just say a $500 credit card, right? Now, $500 in credit, that's definitely a good starting point. But we all know and especially in how this world is, $500, a trip at the grocery store, or, or even, going to your local store to get a pair of sneakers could be possibly half of that. So now when you talk about half of that, you just literally took your revolving utilization to 50%. And even though you paid on time, even though that credit score was good, if you don't pay that $250 pair of sneakers off, or that $250 grocery bill, if you don't pay that off within the first 30 days of you making that charge, it's now a carried balance. And now you just took your credit, your credit profile showing 50% utilization. Your score might have went from 710 or 720 all the way down to maybe like a 650, 640, just from that one little thing. And mind you, we're still talking about somebody who pays their bills on time.
Right.
But that one little situation can impact, because utilization impacts your score up to 35% of your overall credit score. It's a huge situation. So now, one of the finance tips that I tell people, and when I say finance is like the strategy of using, credit and money management or whatever. So whenever you hear the word finance, think strategy and planning. Credit is the tool, finance is the actual application, to where, like, now I'm going to put some strategy behind this credit and money. So now a strategy that I tell people, and especially, and I believe in today's society where most people who are working a job, it seems like a job nowadays is not enough. Like anybody that I know that, outside of maybe somebody that's like some type of high tech job, like a doctor or maybe like a software engineer or something like that, almost everybody else has some type of a side hustle, or you hear about this gig economy. They're working a side gig, where they're doing Uber or Lyft, or something, some type of, one of the cool things I like are the people who come and like put stuff together for you. You know what I mean? So like that's a cool service I love using. When I'm buying something from Amazon, I don't know how to put something together. I don't want to take that time. Right. I go to the app. Somebody comes in and just puts it together for me. But that's a gig now, and that's like a side hustle. Or, believe it or not, these side hustles could be actual businesses. So now a strategy that I tell people to use is that even if you are, once again, a W-2 wage earner, if you're thinking about any type of side hustle, that's a reason for you to actually have a business or an LLC. And then now with that LLC, and especially when you have good credit, this is where you can kind of, this is like your VIP pass now to go into the business credit world. The beautiful thing about the business credit world compared to the personal is, remember, I told you there's a line drawn in the sand. Right. So therefore, when you have good credit, banks would look at the good personal credit and they'll say, okay, this person had good personal credit. So therefore, the way that they manage their personal credit profile or personal credit situations, we can trust them and give them business credit. Now, the beautiful thing about this business credit is that business credit gets reported to business credit bureaus, not personal credit bureaus. So now, back to that example, if somebody only had a little bit of credit on the personal side, but then now I have it on the business side, well, if I did that same purchase, that even if it was just $500, and I put it on my business card, it has no effect to the integrity of my personal credit because it's on a totally separate bureau. So now this thing right here, that of actually adding a new level of credit, going from personal to now adding business, I always look at it as this is almost a form of credit protection or credit insurance, if you will. Because now, once again, the credit that's going to be reported on the business side, remember, it's supposed to be business expenses, it's now on the business side. So you don't have to worry about it on the personal. So one thing that I suggest that like I said, even wage earners, if you have good credit on the personal side, one of the first things you really should do is set up an LLC so that you can now have access to some business credit for that, just in case. Because we already know, one of the biggest phrases right now, life be lifing. Right. And of course, especially in our communities, we associate life be lifing with unexpected money issues. Having to put money out for, your car broke down, your water heater went.
Unexpected
expenses. You live in an area where maybe the school systems are not the best, but then now you got to send your kid to a private school, and now you got to spend the money, to get them into a better school, school system. There's so many different reasons, on why or when we have to spend a little bit more money than expected, and I believe that a really good strategy, for any household, you should definitely have some level of business credit, really for the just in case. Now, mind you, absolutely positively, for people who are like really entrepreneurs and really trying to take their business to the next level, yes, that's the entry point to really, having the resources to do more with your business. So, and doing more with your business, meaning like I can get the shiny websites, I can get the a virtual assistant. I can do, I can invest in more data analytics about my business and about my industry, so I can know what I'm doing is going to be, the right thing to do, or I can hire these, more advanced people. That's one of the beautiful things of having the business credit, what it can do. But I do believe that it is a true and absolutely fundamental business and finance strategy, or wealth building strategy, or family finance strategy, is that because, once again, on the personal credit side, once you start carrying those balances, you're now playing a game of financial Russian roulette. And if you don't have a little something on the side, because I've seen a lot of people do it where, oh, I'm just doing a personal, then when I'm ready for the business, I do that. And then God forbid, when the day happens, it's like they have so much, they've accumulated so much personal credit that it's hard for them to get out because they might not apply, get approved for anything else. And then now they're waiting for a tax return because that's our thing in our community. Wait for that tax return.
Yeah.
Get that tax return. That's the reset button. That's or what we call the get back.
Yeah.
So once again, finance and credit strategy, one of the biggest fundamentals I believe is understanding personal credit and business credit and how they work together and how to use, business credit as a way of, almost family credit insurance. But then also, even more importantly, this is now the tool that you can use to kind of build and grow that startup business or even that gig business or that side business to really go bigger and better faster.
Absolutely. And see, that's a great tip to start off with on this Wealthy Wednesday, the first of many. So, of course, it is definitely great that we were able to get that out and, get this first one in, you know what I mean? But if they want to reach out for maybe some more gems that do not air or here on the Morning Machine, and they can consult with you and hire you to be able to do more and talk more finances, how can they do that? How can they follow you and connect?
Oh, absolutely. By all means, you can go to my IG. I have 2 pages, Biz Money Pro, which is spelled exactly the way it sounds, BizMoneyPro. And of course, in my link, there's a Calendly link in my bio that you can always book an appointment there. Most of our conversations, of course, are geared towards, entrepreneurship because that's what our firm is about. And then, of course, the actual business page, The Enhancement Group, once again, spelled out just like that, THE Enhancement Group LLC. I do apologize. The Enhancement Group LLC. By all means, please hit me up. I'm looking forward to answering questions, helping our people out. A segment that we have is called Capital Conversations.
Like it.
And that's literally us talking about a bunch of different money issues for the small business owner.